guys, and welcome to Bakemas Day 5. I can't believe I'm already on day 5. I really didn't think that this series would last even this long. I'm really hoping to make it through all 25 days, but I'm not gonna lie to you, these are so hard to get time to film that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. So we're gonna do our best. So I don't know about you guys, but a tradition or a Christmas staple is definitely going to be cuernos. Now I'm probably saying that wrong. I don't really speak Spanish, but they're the horns in pan. And if you don't know what pan is, it's Mexican bread. They are my favorite of pan, but you know, everybody has their favorite, like some people like conchas, whatever, but I love them around the Christmas season. So for Bakemas Day 5, we are gonna make cuernos. So let's get into it. Also, I just realized I didn't introduce myself. Hi, I'm Misha. I'm trying to make it through Bakemas. I'm obviously struggle bunning here, but I'm trying to make it through, so we're gonna try to do this together, you and I, 25 days baking. If your first time here, hello, and if you're returning, thank you so much. Also, we're gonna ignore the fact that I have other things cooking in the background because your girl is non-aesthetic and just actually trying to do this as a real person in between life. So with that being said, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Make sure that you hit this like button if this is something that you like to see, and let's get into baking. Okay, so in this bowl, we are going to put 1/4 cup of sugar and 2 cups of flour. So let's get into that. I really do love this thing, I'm not even kidding. Okay, so we're gonna measure out 1/4 cup. Boom, 1/4 cup of sugar. We also need 5 tablespoons of room temperature butter, but I'm gonna add that in the end. The one thing I really do like about this recipe is you can just throw it all into the bowl. It's not like something that you need to keep the wet and the dry ingredients apart from each other, because it really is in the kneading. So let's get the 2 cups of flour in here. 1 cup, 2 cups. Okay, next I'm going to add our instant yeast. You're going to need about 1 tablespoon of instant yeast. I have a bread hook, so I'm just going to mix this with that. Next, we are going to need 1/2 cup of warm water and a tablespoon of vanilla. So our 1/2 cup of warm water, this is going to activate the yeast. And then about a tablespoon of vanilla, and then let me get that room temperature butter in here. Okay, so now that we all have it all in the bowl, let's start getting it worked together. Now, you could do this with a KitchenAid stand mixer. I have done that in the past, and it does make them really fluffy, but also I like to really let these rise for like a good amount of time. Now, you guys know I have told you guys about the trick that I do where I boil water and then I put my dough and the warm water into the oven to let it really rise in that humidity. That like works really well for this dough too, especially right now because it's not summer, it is cold and it is hard to get your dough to rise. So we are just going to combine this and then start kneading for about 10 minutes. I would say it takes about 10 minutes for it to really come together. Once the dough has like a really good bounce back like that, it is ready to proof. Now, because this dough has so much butter in it, you really don't need to oil the bottom of your bowl. I always do though, just out of safety. So I put a light oil. Now the bottom of the bowl is lightly oiled. I'm going to cover it and I am going to shove this in the oven with some boiling water on the rack underneath and just let it sit for the next few hours. For the fluffiest, I like to do 4 to 6 hours, but that's up to you because I second proof it too once it has the like sugar coating thing, which the like pink paste, and I'll show you guys that when we come back. So let's get this proofing. Okay, now we're going to make the pink paste. So we need 4 tablespoons of room temperature butter, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I'm telling you guys, this thing is such a lifesaver. I love it. Okay, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and then a cup of flour. A cup of flour, a splash of vanilla, and then you're going to need some red food dye. I use natural colors because I am red 40 free. So this usually comes out more pink than it does red just because I don't use red 40. Now you're going to come, take your hand in and smoosh this around, and it'll come together. It just takes a couple of seconds. So just let's get this all smushed. Okay, so now that our pink paste has come together, like I said, it's not as red as it would be if I used Red 40, but I don't eat Red 40, so I don't use it. Now that we have that, we need to roll this dough out. Now that we got this dough out, and we gave it a little bit of a roll, we are going to split it into even parts. Now, this recipe makes about 8 big ones and 16 small ones, but I think, let me cut it and see how many we're going to get today. Okay, so we're going to do minis today, so we're going to make 16. So I cut out the first half of the dough into 8 balls, and then we're going to cut our pink paste to match, because each one gets a little bit of pink paste. So let's do that. So we're cutting these up like so. Boom, boom. So now we have one for each of them. Now for this, you can roll them out with a rolling pin, but because they're minis, they're kind of easy to do by hand, so that's what I usually do, and you make it into like a triangle shape. So let's get this pushed out, and then you're going to take your pink paste and push that into there like so, into a triangle shape, like that. And then you just roll it up like that. And then we're going to let these proof. So I'm going to put them on the baking sheet. And then we're just going to do that with the rest of them. And I will show you them once they're all on the baking sheet. So we're just making our way through. Boom. Push it in. Push it down like so. And then just roll it up like that. Boom. Do some of these look better than others? Yes, but I am no professional. Like I said, this is not an aesthetic kitchen. This is a realistic kitchen, and they will look good when they're done baking, I promise. Okay, now I'm going to let these proof for about an hour before we shove them in the oven. Okay, so they've had some time to proof. We are now going to shove them in the oven at 325 for about 12 to 15 minutes. Please ignore the mess, but here it is, all done, the little mini cuerno. All right, you guys, let's take a bite. I did let these set to let it cool in the middle. Look how fluffy that is. So good. Now, it's just as pretty as the one from the drawer. Now, is it as tasty? Yes. Does it take a long time to do? Kind of. But it's so worth it in the end. Thank you guys so much for joining me for day 5 of Bakemas. I'm really hoping to make it through all 25 days. But I truly appreciate, let me finish doing this. I really appreciate your guys' support. Make sure that you hit subscribe if you like this kind of content, and hit that like button so that I know you like it. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.